then they just abandoned them alongside the road there. And so what would happen was, because of that law that Lady Bird Johnson had enacted, or President Johnson enacted it. It was her pet project, but he enacted it. And then, so they said we, the tow truck operators, had to tow the cars off the side of the road. We couldn't leave them there to get them off, to make it look nice and everything. So we were almost every day we'd go up. If we had a tow job, we'd go up to get somebody, or somebody have a flat, or they'd run out of gas or whatever. We would go up there and take care of them and everything, and then they would continue on down the road. Well, we'd just hook up one of these old wrecks and pull it back down to the station and put it behind the service station there, because I don't know if you've been over there since you were born over there, but I don't know if you remember how big it was. We had probably, I would say maybe 300 feet long and maybe 100 feet deep.
Yeah, I saw it. It's not a very big lot.
Not a very big lot, but we could just really stack them in there. And there actually is an alleyway that went down there, and it died into a scout field there. So we stacked those cars in there and everything, and so the people would be notified that we had their cars, that their cars were stolen, and they were recovered in Monterey County. It was at the station, and it was like, maybe a $35 towing bill against it, and then $1 a day storage from the day until the day they picked it up and everything. So it was not a lot of money, back in the days, but it was still quite a bit of money back in those days.
Back in those days, yeah.
Gas was really, cheap, like 30 cents a gallon or something for gas and everything. So anyway, 9 times out of 10, we wouldn't even hear from the people. They wouldn't even have the courtesy to call us back or anything else. And then the other ones would say, well, the cars are not worth anything, you can just have it. They would send us a pink slip for it, because they were mostly older cars and stuff. Although I will say there was some really pretty nice stuff in there. There was like some Austin Healey's and MGs and things like that. Some of the little sports cars and things. And but then there again, they were stripped. There was nothing on them. They were mostly just the shells. So anyway, we had probably 100 cars back there, and we had no way to get rid of them because we weren't a wrecking yard. We couldn't do anything with them. So my dad went to San Luis Obispo County there, told him, well, we need to get rid of all these cars because we were running out of room, no place to put them and everything. It was really making an eyesore going down Highway 1, looking back over the backside of our property. We had all these old wrecked cars down there. So they said, well, that was our problem. Told me that was your problem. Well, that just opened the door to Dad. He loved it when people told him it's his problem. He knows how to take care of problems. So. He got this old guy down in Avila Beach down there, a black guy down there in Avila Beach that had a wrecking yard. And the guy came up there and he told him he would give him $20 a piece for the cars, if to haul them out of there for everything he had, the pink slips and everything for. So that's a good deal, because it didn't cost Dad nothing. The guy came down there, and he was able to take 3 at a time, and so he came down there and he made 2 trips, and I think he got 6 or 8 of them, something like that, and hauled them out of there. And then Dad never saw the guy again. He never came back down there or up there. He never came back up. Never paid Dad. Dad never got any money out of the guy. He just wouldn't pay him and everything. So he put a stop to that. So he tried one more time with the California Highway Patrol. And George Adams was the guy's name. It was Resident Highway, a good friend of mine. And he said, Bud, he says, you just do whatever you want with him. He says, don't worry about it. Just do whatever you want with him. Well, we got a picture there that shows Dad. He's got a big sign up there, that said what he was going to do, because the county wouldn't help him out on this or do anything to give him some kind of relief on it. So Willis Warren had this like I say, had a cattle ranch out there just out there past San Simeon Creek Road. It was, you know, it was only maybe, I don't know, 3-4 miles from town out there. And so by then we had 2 tow trucks. We had the 41 International, and then we had a, what was it? It was a 70, see I got a 68 Dodge D300. And so what we did, we kept the Dodge at the station, and at all times. So if we had a tow truck or an accident or something, we always had one wrecker that was always there at the service station. And then we just started hauling those, hook those old cars up and drag them out there to Willis's place. He had back over behind the barn there. He had a roping arena that he had built years ago, and there was kind of a creek down there, and so he wanted to expand it. He wanted it to be a bigger one because they would have rodeos and stuff like that out there several times a year at his place, and it was a pretty big deal. Pretty nice. He had a pretty nice place out there. So what we did, we just pull those out there, and we just drive up there and drop the chains on, and go get another one, come there, and then he had a little Caterpillar, and he just pushed them off to the side of the gully there, and kind of filled in the gully. And then they have over there stuff called red rock, and that's what all the roads are made out of, is this red rock. It's a real hard, it's not clay, it's a real hard dirt though. And then you could put it down there and then put rollers and stuff on it, you know, to smooth it out and everything. But it's all the county roads are all made with that red rock, and so there's those red rock pits are all over the mountains over there. And so he had a big pit that he got his red rock out of and everything. So once we started putting those in there, he would push them off in there, and then he'd just cover them up with this red rock, you know. And then we just kept building it. Well, we more than tripled the size of his roping arena there, and then so all he had to do then was just go in and put another extend the fence around where he wanted it to get bigger and everything there. So, but I mentioned the fact that they had those little Austin Healey's and MGs and, you know, little sports cars and things like that. A lot of Volkswagen, a lot of junk stuff, you know. Hippies had, and that stuff there. It didn't, you know, he'd just push it down there and just take that Caterpillar and just climb up on top of it, you know, just crush them a little bit before he put the dirt on it and everything. So that way, when he covered them with a red rock and it soaked in, you know, it didn't collapse. You didn't have collapse holes coming down into the deal where you get out there with, you know, rodeo or something and a horse stepping a hole there. So it was fixed up. They did a really good job. I mean, it took us a long time before we got rid of all those cars, because we had over 100 cars out there, and even though it was not very far, you couldn't do more than probably 2 or 3 a day, because you had the business was going, you know, or Dad would be out with a tow truck, and that would leave me at the station, and I couldn't do it because I had to stay at the station to run the gas station and everything. So
keep going.
Still going?
Yeah, still good. Keep going.
So anyway, it was one of those things. That was another way that